Hi, everyone, and welcome to Events Made Sane Live. Today, we're going to talk about how to make your outdoor summer events better for both you and your guests. So, going to dive right into it. The first tip that I have for you guys is to watch your timing when the event is. I know a lot of people that have put together a beautiful outdoor event, but they didn't actually attend the venue during the time that the event was supposed to be held. So you need to know what's in shade, what's in full sun, when the sprinklers are going off. All of these are really crucial parts of your outdoor event, especially the shade. You want to have shade for your guests. So that is one of the top things that I make sure everyone has when I'm doing an outdoor event is some sort of shade. And again, watch your timing on things. I love to set up early, but if the sprinklers are going off that night, I don't want to have, the tent with all the beautiful drapery set up the night, that afternoon before the event and have everything get soaked and then have to deal with that when I get there the next day or the day of the event. So really watch your timing, specifically on setting up for events. The second thing that you need to make sure for your guests is that you have water available to them. Cold, good drinking water. It's crucial for any event, especially outdoors during the summer. Now, I know in California where I live, if we are doing a public event or an event where people have paid to get in, it is required for us to provide water to them for free. Now, that can come in the form of water fountains, drinking fountains, that sort of thing. So you can still sell your bottles of water, but make sure you know your local and state regulations on the type of water that you have to provide your guests. Again, especially if this is a big public event. If this is a private event for you, you still want to have water available to them. The last thing you want is people being dehydrated and fainting on you, and then you having to call the ambulance. It doesn't make for a fun event. It's kind of a downer at that point. The third thing that I always like to provide my guests outdoor for either personal or business is sunscreen. I'm one of those people, I burn at the drop of a hat. So I always have sunscreen on me. There's some that lives in my car. If I'm traveling, there's some that lives in my bag. There's actually a set that lives in my husband's car, just because I burn so easily, and having that readily available to me makes my life better. But having a bucket with sunscreen available for your guests, for those that have forgotten that the sun exists because we all live inside so much lately, that's really helpful and can make sure that your guests are enjoying themselves more. In that bucket, I also put bug spray. I am one of those people that also is a mosquito attractor. I'm not sure if it's maybe all the sunscreen that I wear, but I can walk into an event that's been, sprayed down, pest management's amazing, and I will get bit by a mosquito. Hands down, it just happens. I'm not sure why. People, the whole sweet blood thing joke has been thrown around, but having bug spray available, specifically if you are near water or on grass, really is crucial. And again, makes everybody much more comfortable. Your guests don't have to go asking after it. Hey, do you have any sunscreen? Do you have any bug spray? I'm getting eaten alive out here. And it, provides you the opportunity to give to your guests and make sure that you're not embarrassed for people asking for those things. The next things that I like to throw in for my events, they're not necessary. So those first four I really do consider necessary for outdoor events. You need to have shade, water, sunscreen, and bug spray. Those are kind of the baseline for me. If I can, I also bring in misters. Misters and fans, you can rent them from most rental companies, and it really elevates the feel of your event and lowers the temperature of your event. Having just that little bit of air movement and that little bit of water in the air, specifically here in California, really makes a difference. Especially, if you have a tent or an easy app that you've rented or that you're using, they can be attached to that. And it really just does help. Now, one thing, please be aware that the misters can drip. And if you have a lot of paper decorations, you want to make sure that they're not being directly sprayed by the misters. It can ruin the look of your event as you go through. Oh, the other thing that I like to give to my guests, and this is actually one of the other non-negotiables, I'm sorry about that, is advance notice that this event will be outside. I know this seems kind of obvious, but some people don't know that the event will be outside. One example, we have Underground Supper Club here in Fresno, and it's a great club. I love what they do. I went to one of their events and I didn't realize it was going to be outside. So I was not prepared. I had the wrong shoes. I had the wrong outfit. If I had known we were going to be outside without a tent, without heaters, now this was in the middle of the winter, so it was a much bigger deal than just, in the middle of the summer. But allow people or give people advance notice of if the event's going to be outside so they can dress appropriately. Women don't necessarily like to wear heels on grass. Those that do, I respect them to no end. They must have cores of steel to not sink constantly in the grass. There's a lot of considerations that go into just getting ready for an event that's outdoors versus indoors, especially during the extremes of any season. So just really make sure that your guests know that the event is going to be outside. The other thing I always have on hand is first aid. First aid not only for bug bites, spider bites, just a basic first aid kit is always a good plan when you're doing an event. I, again, keep one in my car, one stays in my husband's car, one is in my event box, and I always make sure I tend to have a bigger one if it's a larger event. Now, if it's a larger event, you may even want to consider hiring someone to be your first aid person. But you also want to make sure during the summer you have ice packs or, those crackable ice packs to help people who get overheated or dehydrated. Having those ice packs that people can put on the back of their neck, on their wrists, can help reduce the need to call an ambulance and help your guests make sure that they're feeling better faster. So first aid is always a good plan. I do encourage everyone to take a first aid class, especially if you're going to be hosting events. It's never a bad plan. The Red Cross does some amazing first aid classes. They're about a day long. You learn a ton of great things, and just everyone should take a first aid class so they know what they're doing. But having a basic first aid kit, bug ointment, anti-itch cream, Band-Aids, things like that really is helpful for your events. If you are doing an event that has staff, you want to make sure that your staff is taken care of. This is a big thing that I harp on almost all of my lives and all of my blogs, is that you must treat your event staff well. They are the face of your event to most of the people that are coming in. So you want to make sure that they aren't overheated or dehydrated, especially during the summer. You want to make sure that that there is plenty of water for them and that they have a place that they can go sit in the cool or in the shade to get out of the heat and cool themselves down. Nothing is worse than watching your event staff drop like flies left and right because they're overworked and overheated. So always, always, always have light snacks, water, and shade available to your event staff at a minimum. If you can provide them with an air-conditioned room to go sit in for just a little bit, they're not going to stay there the entire event, but having that space just to cool yourself off really can make all the difference in how your event staff treats all of your guests, all of your attendees, and then how your attendees experience the event itself. The other thing you're going to want to watch for an outdoor event is noise ordinances. Noise travels much further outside than it does inside, obviously. So you want to check, what decibels can I be at? How long can I play? Is the noise ordinance till 10 on, Mondays through Thursdays, or even Sundays through Thursdays? but then it's at, midnight Fridays and Saturdays. Every locality is different, so please double check that with your local people. But the noise ordinance is really crucial, especially if you're near water. Sound travels much faster over water. If you are hosting an event at your house and it's going to go late, it's going to be loud, let your neighbors know. Give them a heads up. I always make it a point of trying to be friends with all of my neighbors, and most of the time they're invited to the events so that they aren't annoyed at the fact that the event is going as long as or is as loud as it is. But, that's not always possible. But we do always let our neighbors know that the event is happening. A simple card in their postbox. Hey, we're having this, we're celebrating this. Just wanted to let you know, if we do get too loud, please text this number and I'll do my best to accommodate you. But be very aware of your neighbors and be respectful. That also comes to parking. Don't have your people park in the middle of their driveways. Make sure that you have enough parking for all your guests and that your guests know where they can and cannot park. There's a ton of bad stories about people parking where they shouldn't have, cars getting towed, and neighborhood feuds starting. So don't do that. Let your neighbors know. And again, if you can, invite them over. That always is a great way to stop the noise complaints. Or if you can't do that, let them know and make sure your guests know where they can and cannot park if it's not clearly visible. The last and kind of biggest point that I have for outdoor events is having a backup plan, because Mother Nature throws things at you that you do not know are coming. Some examples, we were hosting a baby shower for someone, and it was one of the worst fire years in our area ever at that point. Unfortunately, we've broken that record since, but it was so smoky outside that you could hardly be outside. It was really hard to do that. And we had planned this beautiful baby shower all outside. So what we had to do was shift everything to an inside venue. Now, the owner of the house had a beautiful space, a beautiful living room, dining room area that we could shift everything into. And luckily it held everybody. It was a little crowded and wasn't quite the beautiful thing that we wanted it to be. But that was our backup plan. And again, you need to have those backup plans. Another example is a bridal shower that we were putting together, and it was supposed to be outside, but leading up to that, we were on record to have the hottest summer, in 10 years. And that summer, I believe they did break a record for most consecutive of days over 110, which is hot. And this was supposed to be a lunchtime event. So you make that call before invites go out, or even after invites go out. You let everybody know, hey, sorry, venue has changed. We're now here, just to make it better. And so just having that backup plan, having the tent on reserve if it rains a lot during the summer, having the misters on hand or on reserve just in case it does hit over 110. I think Phoenix is supposed to be 117 today. One, you're probably not hosting outdoor summer events in Phoenix right now, but just know that Mother Nature will throw things at you that you are not expecting. So knowing that you can have a backup plan is crucial. Now, just remember, if you do decide to go with the tent, you're going to want to know what that ground is like when it's wet. How far are people going to have to walk in the rain? Do you get sides for the tent in case the wind comes through? These are all things you have to think about specifically for an outdoor event. There are very few times when I say an outdoor event is actually a good plan. Now, if you know it's spring or fall and you're in that perfect time zone, that's great. That's when you want to have the outdoor weddings, the outdoor events. And that's why it's so expensive to rent the venues, specifically the outdoor venues during that time. If you are doing it in the off seasons, the winter or the summer, you need to have those backup plans, and you need to know what the area is like, so your guests or your attendees can get from one space to the other without being, completely soaked from rain, melting from the parking lot to the tent, all of these things. If anybody has any questions on outdoor events, please feel free to DM me on any of the social medias. But other than that, those are my 10, 11 tips on how to host a perfect outdoor summer event. Thank you so much, and have a great day.